Some people carry a quiet kind of honesty and energy that doesn't need to speak loudly to be heard. They don't try to impress, outshine, or dominate a room, but something about them feels deeply trustworthy. They may not be the most charismatic or polished, but their presence offers a strange kind of relief. With them, there's no pressure to perform, no need to wear a mask, just space to be yourself. In today's world, where social status is often built on carefully curated images and public perception, being real is not just rare, it's courageous. We are constantly bombarded with messages telling us to be more successful, more beautiful, more admired. Somewhere along the way, many forget how to simply be true. Not perfect, not impressive, just real. To live authentically means more than just being yourself. It means staying rooted in your values even when they're not convenient. It means choosing kindness when ego wants to win. It means refusing to judge others by narrow standards and letting go of the need to be liked by everyone. This kind of life isn't loud. It doesn't beg for attention, but it leaves a quiet, lasting impact. Because the people who live this way remind us that honesty doesn't need to be explained. That humility is strength, and that being a decent human being is more powerful than any performance. In a society full of noise and pretense, authenticity is a radical act. This article explores 7 signs of those who choose to live truthfully, not for praise, not for attention, but simply because it's the right way to be. 1. Sign number 1. They don't impose their standards on others. A genuine person doesn't judge others by their personal beliefs, backgrounds, or life choices. They resist the urge to place people into narrow categories of right and wrong, success and failure, worthy and unworthy. Instead, they acknowledge the complexity of human experiences, the fact that behind every decision is a story, behind every behavior is a reason, and behind every person is a journey we cannot fully see. This depth of understanding comes not from agreement, but from empathy. A genuine person knows that their perspective is just one among many, shaped by their unique upbringing, values, and circumstances. They do not expect others to think, act, or live exactly as they do. They do not treat difference as a threat, but as a natural and inevitable part of life. In everyday situations, this shows up in subtle but powerful ways. For example, when someone makes a life choice that they personally wouldn't make, whether it's about career, relationships, parenting, or lifestyle, a genuine person doesn't jump to conclusions or speak from a place of moral superiority. They won't say, "If it were me, I never do that," because they understand it isn't them. They don't know the full story. And so instead, they respond with grace. "That wouldn't be my choice, but I understand you have your reasons." This mindset is not weakness or passivity. It's a form of maturity. It shows emotional intelligence, the kind that allows people to coexist without constant comparison or conflict. Genuine people don't walk around with an invisible ruler, measuring others against their personal standards. They know that life isn't one size fits all. They know that people grow, change, struggle, and heal in ways that can't be predicted or controlled. In a culture that often rewards quick judgments and harsh opinions, this kind of open-heartedness is rare. But it's also exactly what makes genuine people so deeply trusted. They create space for difference, for growth, and for truth. And in doing so, they offer others something increasingly precious: the freedom to be human without fear of being condemned for it. 2. Sign number 2. They respect and consider other people's opinions. Genuine people know how to truly listen, not with the intention of responding, but with the intention of understanding. In a world where most people are just waiting for their turn to speak, this kind of listening is both rare and powerful. It's not just about staying silent while someone talks. It's about being present, about quieting the internal urge to debate, defend, or fix, about holding space for someone else's truth, even when it differs from your own. To the genuine person, disagreement is not a threat. They are not so fragile in their identity that a different opinion feels like a personal attack. In fact, they welcome diversity of thought because they understand that no one grows in an echo chamber. They believe in the dignity of dialogue, the kind of conversation that isn't built to score points, but to bridge gaps. When someone shares a perspective they don't agree with, a genuine person doesn't roll their eyes, shut down emotionally, or launch into a counterargument. Instead, they respond with grounded humility. I don't agree, but I respect your view. That one sentence carries so much weight. It reflects a balance that many struggle to find, the ability to hold firm in your own values while still honoring the humanity in someone else. Genuine people are not pushovers. They're not indecisive or afraid to speak their truth, but they know that empathy and disagreement can coexist. They know that being right means nothing if it comes at the cost of connection. More importantly, they don't let ego override empathy. They don't need to win the conversation to feel secure. They don't need to dominate the room or have the final word. What matters to them is not whether they come out on top, but whether the other person leaves the conversation feeling heard and respected. That is what sets them apart. In a culture addicted to arguments and fueled by constant need for validation, genuine people bring something else to the table: emotional generosity. They are the ones who listen when no one else does, who pause instead of react, who makes you feel like your thoughts, however imperfect, still deserve to be held with care. This ability to listen with the heart, not just the ears, is not a weakness, it's wisdom. Because they know, when you truly hear someone, even if just for a moment, you offer them something rare. You offer them dignity. And that is something no victory in an argument can replace. 3. Sign number 3. They have a strong sense of self and don't follow the crowd. Authentic people don't bend themselves into shapes to fit into spaces that were never meant for them. They have opinions that may not be trendy, preferences that may not be popular, and values that may not be easily understood by the majority, but they hold them close, not because they're stubborn, but because they are sincere. While the world moves in waves of influence, telling people what's in, what's out, what's acceptable, and what's not, the authentic person quietly stands anchored in their truth. They do not chase trends because they are not chasing attention. They do not follow the crowd because they are not afraid of walking alone. For them, self-respect always weighs more than public approval. They understand that popularity is fleeting, often dependent on how well one can perform, conform, or entertain. But inner peace, being able to look at yourself in the mirror without regret or self-betrayal, that is lasting. That is what they're after. They don't fear being misunderstood if being understood means having to fake a smile, suppress a belief, or nod along when their heart says no. This is why they are not friendly in the way the world often defines friendliness. They don't wear a smile just to avoid conflict. They won't say what you want to hear just to maintain surface-level harmony. Their kindness is rooted in honesty, not politeness. If being liked means being inauthentic, they'll risk the cold shoulder. They would rather be quietly alone than loudly fake. They aren't rude or unkind, they're just real. And being real sometimes means saying no when others expect yes. It means holding back when pressured to perform. It means walking away from situations that demand you to abandon who you are in order to be accepted. This honesty doesn't make life easier. In fact, it often makes it lonelier. But it also makes it cleaner, freer, and far more meaningful. Authentic people are not trying to impress. They are trying to live in alignment. Their compass is not approval. It's integrity. One of the clearest ways to see the difference is in a simple but striking contrast. Some people live to be liked. Others live to be at peace with themselves. The former will twist, shrink, exaggerate, and perform if it means applause. The latter may go unnoticed, but they walk through the world without needing to apologize to themselves every night. And that quiet, steady peace, that's something no amount of likes, followers, or fleeting praise can replace. 4. Sign number 4. They are generous, with both words and actions. Genuine kindness is quiet. True generosity is invisible. In a world where even compassion is sometimes staged for likes, views, or validation, the truly authentic person chooses a different path, one that leads inward, not outward. They don't need their kindness to be noticed in order for it to matter. In fact, they often prefer it not to be, because for them, kindness is not a performance. It's a reflection of who they are when no one is watching. Authentic people don't do good to build a brand or craft an image. They don't volunteer only when cameras are rolling. They don't give just to be praised, and they don't show up only when they know it will be seen. Their goodness comes from a quiet place inside a place untouched by ego or expectation. They don't need witnesses to validate their worth. They help in ways that might go unnoticed by the world, but never go unfelt by the people they touch. A gentle word to someone who's struggling, a silent act of support for a friend going through pain, a financial gift given without a name attached, a thoughtful gesture never mentioned again. These aren't grand acts for attention, they're natural expressions of their values. They give not for a moment of applause, but for a lifetime of peace with themselves. This is what sets them apart in an age obsessed with optics. While others may ask, will people see this? Before extending a hand, authentic people ask, does this feel right? Their moral compass isn't guided by the spotlight. It's guided by empathy, by presence, by conscience. They live by an unspoken principle. A real person gives without noise, not for recognition, just for peace of mind. And that peace of mind isn't something the world can give you. It's the stillness you feel when your actions align with your values. It's the quiet contentment that comes from knowing you made someone else's day better, even if no one else ever knows. That's why they don't tally favors or expect repayment. Their generosity isn't transactional, it's soulful. To live this way requires courage in a culture where everything is curated, shared, and marketed. But for the genuine person, inner sincerity is more fulfilling than outer approval. They give not because it looks good, but because it feels good, not the superficial kind of feel good, but the kind that resonates deep within the conscience. The kind that reminds them, I may not have much, but what I give is real. And that, quietly and without fanfare, is how true goodness moves through the world. Not loud, not flashy, but profoundly human. 5. Sign number 5. They treat everyone with equal respect. The true measure of a person's character is revealed not in how they treat those who can benefit them, but in how they treat those who cannot offer anything in return. This is a lesson often overlooked in a world obsessed with status, power, and advantage. It's easy, almost automatic, for many to show kindness and respect when there's something to gain. A promotion, a favor, a connection, or social approval. But genuine people see beyond this transactional mindset. Their kindness does not have a price tag, nor is it reserved only for those worthy by societal standards. Authentic individuals extend the same warmth and respect to the security guard who holds the door, as they do to the CEO who runs the company. They do not play favorites based on rank, wealth, or influence. They don't keep score or evaluate people through a lens of personal gain. Their regard for others is rooted in the simple truth that every human being deserves dignity, regardless of their role or what they can offer. This is an important reminder for all of us. Don't just observe how someone treats you, pay close attention to how they treat those who have nothing to offer them. Because in those moments when the incentives are stripped away and there's no benefit to be had, what remains is the unfiltered essence of a person's heart. Authenticity shines brightest in these quiet and unobserved moments. When there's nothing to gain and yet the kindness flows freely, that's where true character reveals itself. It is a purity of intention that cannot be faked or bought. It is a reflection of empathy that transcends social hierarchies and superficial distinctions. Moreover, such behavior speaks volumes about humility and self-awareness. To respect everyone equally is to acknowledge that no one is inherently more valuable than another, that all lives have meaning beyond material status or societal labels. It's a perspective that requires strength because it means resisting the urge to judge based on external measures of success. It means seeing people for who they are, not for what they represent on a resume or a business card. In a culture that often equates worth with achievement and influence, choosing to treat everyone with kindness and respect, especially those who seem invisible or powerless, is an act of quiet rebellion. It's a stand against the tendency to divide and rank human beings according to their utility. It's a statement that true authenticity is not about climbing ladders or accumulating advantages, but about grounding oneself in unwavering compassion. Ultimately, this mindset builds bridges instead of walls. It fosters communities where people are valued for their humanity, not their leverage. It creates spaces where respect is a given, not a privilege. And it reminds us all that the deepest measure of a person is not their accomplishments, but their capacity for kindness when it matters most, when there's nothing to gain. 6. Sign number 6. They are not swayed by materialism. They know what's enough. True authenticity means having a clear sense of what truly matters, and for genuine people, that is never about chasing wealth or fame at any cost. In a society where success is often measured by the size of one's bank account, the number of followers, or the luxury possessions displayed, authentic individuals choose a different path. They refuse to sacrifice their morals, values, or sense of self just to accumulate more, whether that more is money, status, or recognition. They understand deeply that true worth does not come from what you own or what others see on the surface. It is not measured by material possessions, flashy titles, or social media applause. Instead, real value is rooted in who you are at your core, your integrity, your compassion, your courage to stand by your principles even when it's difficult or unpopular. This understanding gives them strength to resist the endless pressure to conform to society's narrow definitions of success. They quietly stand firm on this belief. I may not be rich, but I won't sell my soul to get rich. This is not just a statement of refusal, it's a declaration of self-respect and inner freedom. It means they choose peace of mind over temporary gain. They protect their inner world, the sanctuary of conscience and authenticity, more fiercely than any outward accolade or material achievement. For them, no amount of wealth is worth compromising their ethics or living a life that feels hollow. This steadfastness often requires tremendous courage. It means saying no to lucrative but unethical deals. It means walking away from opportunities that demand bending or breaking their values. It means rejecting the temptation to fake it till you make it, or to put on a mask of success to impress others. And it means embracing a simpler, perhaps quieter life, one guided by purpose rather than possessions. Yet, paradoxically, this refusal to chase external wealth often leads to a richer, fuller life. Because when you're not constantly striving to prove your worth through things, you open up space to cultivate what really matters: meaningful relationships, genuine happiness, and a clear conscience. You find satisfaction not in the accumulation of stuff, but in living with authenticity and grace. 7. Sign number 7. They are humble. They don't need to shout to be seen. A truly authentic person carries confidence with quiet grace, never tipping into arrogance or boastfulness. They don't feel the need to shout their achievements or parade their strengths in front of others. Instead, their worth is revealed naturally through their actions, their consistency, and the integrity with which they live each day. Their presence alone commands respect, not because they demand it, but because they have earned it through sincerity and humility. There are two subtle yet profound truths about genuine confidence and humility. First, the truly intelligent rarely feel compelled to speak loudly about their intellect. They understand that true knowledge is shown through thoughtful decisions, careful listening, and measured speech, not through endless self-promotion. Their wisdom shines quietly, illuminating situations without overshadowing others. Second, the truly ethical person does not preach or lecture about morality. They don't use their values as weapons to judge or correct others. Instead, they live by example, allowing their kindness, fairness, and integrity to speak for themselves. They know that telling others how to be good rarely inspires change. Living a good life quietly and consistently does far more. Humility is often misunderstood as thinking less of oneself, but in reality, it is quite the opposite. It means having a clear and honest understanding of who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, your values without the need for external validation or approval. Humility is self-acceptance combined with respect for others. It is the strength to stand firm in your identity without feeling the urge to prove or defend it constantly. This kind of humility is freeing. It removes the burden of seeking approval and comparison. It allows a person to focus on growth rather than competition, on contribution rather than recognition. When you truly know your worth, you don't have to convince others of it. You simply live it. And that quiet confidence inspires others far more than any loud declaration ever could. Living with such humility requires courage and self-awareness. It means resisting the cultural pressure to boast and perform, choosing instead to embrace authenticity even when it goes unnoticed. It means valuing substance over style, depth over surface, and truth over facade. Conclusion: living authentically is a brave choice. In a world full of masks, not pretending is a form of courage. Genuine people may not please everyone, but they never betray themselves. They don't need to be flawless. They just need to be honest with themselves and with others. You don't have to be the person everyone likes. Be the person you can respect every time you look in the mirror. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.